Hi everyone, it's Practical Mommy, Rhea Sharon on mymommymanual.com, and I'm really excited about the conversation that I'm having today with Melissa Pierce, who is a fellow mom, recently turned documentary filmmaker. And I'd have to say, Melissa, your project, Life in Perpetual Beta, really resonates with me. Just the question that you pose on your website, which is the planned life worth living? It's really, really kind of a powerful thing that inspired a lot of thinking. So can you share with us a little bit about how you came to ask this question, why you're asking it of all these really cool and, as it turns out, influential people, and what you're learning from that process?
Sure. So how I came to ask the question, I used to coach. I used to do life coaching from home with my two adorable children while I was homeschooling as well. So that was the three adorable children then.
Wow.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous quest. So I used to do life coaching for creatives, but I found that all of them kind of ran up against the same idea. You know, they wanted to start their own businesses, etc., but they had these, really old-fashioned notions of what it meant to start your own business and how you had to go about it. And I just found myself asking them, well, who said you had to do it that way? Who said it has to be that way? Who's telling you these things? When did you pick that up? And I just noticed from our conversations that, the world was changing in an exciting way, and people were still trying to live by this old industrial revolution kind of standard of you have to plan things out very succinctly to get them done. And the world is just not moving that way anymore. We're moving away from that. And I just thought instead of talking to people one-on-one, that I could talk to people on, a one-to-many levels. So that's what I did.
And on that same subject, and you started talking to people who are part of that change, part of that shift.
Yes.
And did you find, I've listened to a lot of your interviews, and it seems like that whole idea, and it's partly driven by technology and what we can do now, seems to be right on. Like, people are doing really different things. There isn't a straight path, and what kind of ideas are coming out that are kind of supporting what you're saying? Or what would you like to share with people who might not be in that same kind of cutting edge space as you are?
Oh, cutting edge space, I don't know that I'm there, but
well, it's all relative.
It is all relative, I suppose. But one, you really don't have to plan that far in advance, and you can change your mind. I think that was a big thing. That was an aha moment to a lot of people, is you can change your mind. If you start something and realize it's not your passion, then you can just go find something else. And in that same token, you can't, I think Seth Godin was like, you can't be a dabbler. You get to something, get 80% of the way, but mostly that you could change your mind, that you don't have to have this big 5-year plan of the things you're going to do. Just start doing something you're interested in now and see where that leads.
That's really interesting, because I was just writing an article about my own path and how if I look back on it, I would never have predicted the path I took. And yet that every next step I took, it's almost like I needed to take all the steps that I did in order to get to where I am. And yet I took all those steps without intending to get where I am. If that makes sense.
It completely makes sense. And if you ask pretty much anyone, anyone who's successful, how they got to where they are, it's going to be a long story. It's not this, I did this and then I did this and that's how I got, and I knew this all when I was 19 and it was all planned out. It's just not the way it works. And for some reason, we still have it in our minds that it is. So we think that it's going to work that way. I don't know who taught this to us, but it's just not the way it works. And as far as the film goes, I wanted to say it from a platform that was a little a little less, woo-woo and a little less spiritually bound and a little more coming from an intellectual angle. Like, these are the things that are happening with technology, and this is why the world is changing. This is why we're changing the way in which we're thinking. Because I think it's a message that we all understand this cognitively, but until we are kind of shown it in some sort of empirical way, this, oh, yeah, okay, I do understand this. This isn't just some feeling I have in my heart that I'm just going to shoo away. I was like, oh, this makes completely logical sense.
That's great. That's great. So what are your plans for the film now? Where are you in that process?
Oh, I have no idea, really. So I just finished the first 20 minutes of the film. I'm going to go get someone to do the audio because I have no idea. And, everyone should know that when I started filming, I had no idea even how to hold a camera. I picked up the family handy camera and just went out and started interviewing people.
And is that what you're still doing, or have you evolved and kind of shifted your process a little bit?
Well, when people saw what I was doing, they offered their services. They're like, hey, I'm a professional. Let me help you. Please. So I got some professionals to help. And then when I became more comfortable with my role, because it took a while to be comfortable in that role, even as an interviewer, to say I was a filmmaker, any of that. When I got a little more comfortable in it, just enough, then I started learning how to use the camera the correct way, so it didn't shake all the time. And so people had microphones, etc. And it would be great if I could just, you could do it in the blog. You can go all the way to the very beginning and see, how it's changed production value wise, which is very fun.
That's very cool. Well, if you had to give some advice to the person you were prior to this project, which would probably be where a lot of my audience is, where they're just starting to have a seed of, I want to do something. What would that be?
Oh, just do it. Just start. Just start. Everyone gets so involved in the planning. Like, I've got to plan out exactly how this is going to go, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't. It's just going to unfold. And, when I started this, like I said, I had two small children. They were both under 4. And I had a 13-year-old that I was homeschooling. And, and I had a coaching practice. And I was just like, what? I'm really interested in doing this. So why don't I just start? I'll just go out and interview this one person. And we'll see what happens from there. And, I didn't know how to set up a WordPress blog. I didn't know any of that stuff. But I just started. And I had already gotten on, Twitter because I was a bored mom and needed some adult interaction. I needed some stimulus. And so I sent people to the video that I made, and they were like, wow, we love this. We'd love to help you. What do you need help with? And I was like, well, this is what I need. So, just go out and do it, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I always thought I had some sort of gift. I've got a gift. I get everything I want. But seriously, all I did was ask for it. It's like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need. Who wants to help me? Come on.
Love that. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Good luck to you. And her project, you can see it unfolding live, almost, at lifeatperpetualbeta.com.
Yeah, lifeinperpetualbeta.com.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the interview.